All right, Kala Lao, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushua, Basham, Rakadash. Double honors to the apostles at Great Millstone, and salute to your brothers teaching the word in sincerity and in truth. Like I said, all praise to the Most High Yahweh, Basham, Yahushua, Basham, Rakadash, right? So, you had the blackouts that had taken place in Europe, Spain, Portugal, and that, hitting France, hitting even Morocco was affected and stuff like that. What I want to do here, let me do this. You got this video. Pretty much now, what they're talking about right now is it gonna happen in England? You know, this is what is going on the news in the UK, in England, whatever. Pretty much, man. These blackouts and these plans of the top elites, pretty much a global agendas. You got these different organizations that the top companies of these elites that they use to push these agendas. Now they've been going on about blackouts in the UK for a while on the mainstream media. Pretty much they're telling you it's going to happen. Some government websites, they've told you to prepare for him. They've told you to have candles. The government of the UK. So it's pretty much going to happen. I'm going to try and play this clip in fair use and see if I can play this without there being any copyright strikes or nothing like that. But what I put in, I can't even remember what I typed in, but UK blackouts is all different newses. Actually, there was one report going around that in the UK they're talking about they want to black out the sun or dim the sun, which I'll probably cover that in another video. You know what I'm gonna do now? This is this morning. It's not. It's certain that if you can palate it. I mean, ain't nobody gonna watch this, but this morning show. Unless. But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna play some of it. I've not actually watched this thing, but let's try and get through some of this. So he asked the question: will the UK? Let's hit it because you can see the kind of characters
they were contending with a blackout as well. 90% of the power has since been restored, but it seemed like an extraordinary thing, Nick, when you think about the conditions that we saw yesterday, this power cut. Seemingly, they're not really sure how it's happened yet or what it was.
No, investigations are going on even as we speak. Around 60 million people across what's called the Iberian Peninsula. You and I know it as Spain and Portugal. People were on their metro, the underground trains. I think we just saw they had to be led to safety. Offices closed down. And then there was a run on the shops. They were buying something. Now, this is very much in my world. They were buying battery-powered radios. Do you remember those batteries? And there were none to be had. Madrid sold out of battery-powered radio. Obviously, water went, toilet rolls, cereals, and those sort of foods. As you rightly say, investigation going on in both countries, but power has come back. It is Europe's biggest ever power blackout. Ever.
60 million people that's left for that power. And some of the things that Nick said, we saw the footage in the underground, the metro. But if you were in a lift,
yes,
you got stuck in the lift because the power just went.
Yeah, so they had firefighters going in to get people out of lifts. They had trains that were stuck in the middle of the countryside. And I think we can all forget how much everything is dependent on electricity. So people's mobile phone batteries, when they went, then they weren't able to recharge them. So they couldn't work their contactless cards, and then even some of the cash point machines weren't working as well. So everything goes when the power goes.
I mean, Martin, we were talking, Martin Lewis is here with us today, and we were talking earlier about energy and making sure you're trying to swap. Is it demand on the grid that causes this sort of power cut at a time when there's that much heat as well?
Now we're gonna listen to what I ain't heard what his take is gonna be on this. What I'm gonna what they were saying first with it was that it was some rare, unexplained phenomenon. So basically, they were saying we don't know, something just rare occurred that happened. You know, that's made this whole thing happen. They didn't know what caused it. There's information coming out. I hadn't watched the video on it. There's obviously different takes on what happened. Someone saying that Spain had something to do with the small acts over there, something that they didn't do or were supposed to do. I can't remember what it was, you know. I'll go and do some more videos on it. But one thing I do know is that these individuals here are planning on turning off these grids, and they've been telling you that they've been planning to turn off these grids. And there's a multiple of reasons for that. So you know what I'm gonna let's play on. Let's play on. Oh, by the way, it's the Most High that's really ultimately shutting things down, because when you look into it, the reason why they're messing with these grids and stuff like that is because they want a new system in. Because they're talking about the what would you call it now, the climate agenda and the whole energy agendas that they've got. So they're basically saying that this grid that they got right now is inefficient, so they're gonna up they're trying to get everything running a certain way. You got the 5G, they're gonna up that. It's gonna, you got the grid system with all the electric cars and all that. They want everything to be running. They're phasing out the certain kind of cars, diesels and all that. So, you know what? Let's play on. I'll go into a bit of that. Let's play on.
Nobody yet knows why there was a power cut. They've said it wasn't a cyber attack, which I think was one of the things that was being considered. And they're going to have to wait for the investigation to come through. But look, energy security is a big issue in all Western countries. It's one of the reasons we pay so much, is that the regulator forces companies to buy ahead to keep a level of energy supply going through so that we don't get those blackouts. And, it's as much as I remember there was a danger of it a few years ago. And I think I was on here suggesting people, you don't turn your drying machine or your washing machine on between 4 and 9 at night. Not because it'll save you money, but just because it reduces peak demands. Sensible precautions everyone should really think about, because it's not just power outages. First thing to say is banks go down where your app doesn't work and you can't.
See, they're even looking. Look at how they're looking at him. And a lot of these individuals, anyway, man. Like, you see how how can I put over in the UK, man? Yeah. You got some real creepy individuals, like they're really involved in certain things. Matter of fact, I was just watching Pazotar's video about Beltane had mentioned, and pretty much that's what they're on now. Yeah, they're heavily into these different. Creepy rituals and cults and things of that nature. Now, this whole thing with everyone was fired up, the grid, the demand on the grid and all that, and it just shut that. I mean, that's rubbish, man. That's rubbish. And you know what? Over there, it's people be using more of it. I mean, that's over there. It's a hot country. Over in England, it's cold, so everybody's always got stuff running, heating and all that. But you ain't hearing nothing about that going on over here. And the fact they're telling you that the grids are gonna shut off means it's all controlled. Now they'd showed you that. Now we quote films, but they showed you that in that film. Supposedly the bombings was, on that film. I can't remember the name of the film. People watching it in the cinemas, and it was saying that basically, it was the government ended up being behind the fall of America. It wasn't. I don't think it was. It wasn't American Civil War. This one was like. Brothers will know what I'm talking about. Anyway, basically it just don't make any sense why this happened. But we're looking at these top elites. And it's all to do with control, man. Now, when they turn back that grid on, because they shut the grid off, what happens? We've done videos on this. You quickly realise how vulnerable you are and how much you rely on the government. All right, that's exactly what's happening here. And soon it's going to lead to the mark of the beast, RFID chip system that they're bringing in, where pretty much they can control everybody ultimately and monitor everything at every second of what the people are doing.
Make payments, so it's always worth having a little bit of cash, because that was one of the issues that was going on in Spain yesterday. A torch and some spare batteries in your house, because we get power cuts for normal reasons. Floods and weather incidents can cause those types of power cuts. A little bit of tin food, a little bit of water always kept stocked up is useful. A wind-up radio, and in this modern world, the other thing that I would always suggest is, and obviously if you don't have the money to do this, is to have a power bank to charge your mobile phone that's always fully charged in your.
Bro, this system's going down. Here it is in 2025. Technology's on the up and all that, and here it is talking about pretty much. You look at the face. It sounds like you're gonna go back into the dark ages, man. And by the way, that's what you guys called it. The dark ages was when Jake's so-called Negroes ruled Europe. The original French, original Germans, original English were so-called dark-skinned people. Icons of King Edward III will show you that. Paintings of the old kings of Europe will show you that. But here it is. This shows you that we're in the end. Let me get this. You know what I'm gonna do? Let's just get this. I'm gonna hit the point. Do you know what? Wait there, let me see if. Okay, I was right there. It was right. I couldn't see. It was right in my face. Anyway, second is just 9 and 5. For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Let me start from 4. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. This system is in its end stages. That's why this is going on. Let's go down here. Look, I typed in UK blackout. So should the UK prepare for an energy blackout? Right there. GB News, ready for blackout Britain. Power cut panic. Could Britain be next after Spain's renewables fail? Now, the thing about this, right, is they actually said, and I could get all this up in some kind of like super format, like kind of layout, but I don't really get down like that. And we just go raw, you know. We just make it happen, man. Like that. But they're pretty much, we've done videos on it already. They've come out and they've said that, and it was on one of these shows. Like, actually, it was on the news, and they were talking about they're gonna actually black Britain out just to save energy. So that's why I mentioned this climate chaos agenda and energy crisis and all this. It's all linked, because they said, well, in the UK, what we're gonna do is black everything out so we can save our energy. And what you got to understand is, okay, so with the climate agenda, they're saying everyone's destroying the climate with everything that people are using. So then people need to be controlled with what they're using. Your carbon footprint is destroying the planet. That's literally what they're saying. Everything that you're using, that's you're using too much stuff. So pretty much in England, they've kind of got this thing where you got to get your rubbish in this one bin. And at one point they were saying, if you don't get it, let's say you got these bin bags, they give you a little bin, and if it don't fit in the bin, we ain't taking it. Now I think they kind of do take it, but there was a point, I remember they were going around saying, well, if it ain't in that bin, we ain't taking it. That's in England, but I know it's when you're in Scotland, they don't do that. They just, out back, you have a big dumpster, you just throw it in the dumpster, man, and they'll just take all that shit. But that's what they're doing. They're saying that, oh, well, you're using too much, you're destroying the environment, so because you're doing that, we need to stop what you're doing, limit what you're doing. Everything that happens, they find a way to blame the people, because they're the ones that they want to control. They're the ones that they want to put harsher control, ultimate control. They want to put ultimate control on the people, which eventually is going to lead to a chip. Because what you got to remember about the mark of the beast RFID chip is that it's going to control everything. All your medical history, all your medical data and everything you've done medically, or your financial, everything financially that you've had, everything that you've done, and everything you want to do, you control or act and have all access to that. This is all in one. Everything about you, your likes, things that you like, will all be on that. Your hobbies, behavioural patterns. You know, because it's a tool. The mark of the beast is a tool of control. Now it says you won't be able to buy or sell, so if you get that. Now when the blackouts happen, what do you have? Panic buying. What's this? Could happen in Britain. UK grid have mysterious outages hours before Europe. European blackout. UK grid had mysterious outages, so I ain't checked that, and maybe I should. I'll probably, we'll see. We'll see. Could a national electricity blackout ever happen in the UK? Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because they've already said that that's what's going to happen. And they keep talking about it. And just like I said, the UK is quite innovative. It's prepared for a Spain-like blackout. How have UK tourists been impacted by Spain and UK blackouts? We had people stuck over there. That was 2 days ago. So, let's do this. Let's go back here.
Your house, because if the worst comes to the worst, you plug that in, that gives you a torch and it gives you the radio and it gives you some form of communication with other people. So those are all actually sensible things that we should have right now.
By the way, a blackout is all these Illuminati card games, lockdowns, blackouts, planes falling out the sky, chaos here, chaos there. It's all tools of fear and control. Yeah, to get you scared, to kill people, and to control. They need people to run to the government with their souls. So, and then if you get the mark of the beast, then pretty much what you've done, man. So, like, if they ever come for a solution for any of this stuff, then what? Because you're going to run to them anyway, we need help, or, and then, but right now, the system's looking bad, you know what I'm saying, in terms of helping the general public, people, but they're going to come with some solutions, which is that chip.
Hopefully, much as when I talk about travel insurance or home insurance, these are policies I'm suggesting how people get them and hope they'll never pay out. I hope none of these will ever be needed either. But it isn't unsensible to have those things.
Do you have any of those things, Nick, ready to go?
I've got Rioja. Because it's I've got a healthy supply. He said wine. Yeah, it's got my...
It's the power bank. That's your power bank.
I don't have massive supplies. I mean, I might have a bottle of water kicking around, but that and a vodka, we'll get through.
Our boys are similar age. My boys are similar age to yours, I think, Alison. My boy, the advent of power banks in our house, because they go off to festivals and things, has become a thing. So that's something that we would have, and I did think about that yesterday, so at least we'd be able to plug our phones in.
If you've got them fully charged.
It depends how big they are and how expensive they are and how much they store.
Fairly decent one for about £20, I think.
Oh, OK.
But I would ordinarily have thought of all this sort of stuff was a bit sort of extremist and we don't need to do this. But when that happened yesterday, I did think we are much more vulnerable, perhaps, than we realise. And that maybe we do need to think. And the other thing I wondered is, like, is there a well anywhere near I live, or is there a generator? Could these things be shared in local communities?
A well?
Yeah, a well. So, because they weren't able to get water,
bucket.
people weren't able to get water in some places yet.
When you read these scriptures, man, the scriptures talks about howling for the miseries that shall come upon thee. I mean, this just shows you that some real serious judgment is getting ready to start happening, and people are not prepared, and you really can't prepare for the Most High's judgment. But y'all just ain't prepared. Let's read this. 2 Corinthians 9:7. And everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed. That's the first things. That's the first, when they rolled up to, I don't know, when I ain't even gonna, but he says, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctioned them for me from the beginning. Right? So, you put trust and belief in the Most High, It's gonna preserve you from those perils, bro. So you see how they all, oh my God, and all that. We ain't like that. We see when something crazy happens, you know, I'm saying, you're like, damn. But you know, we're expecting these these perils, and actually, and why? Because we're the prophets, so we're telling you that that's gonna happen. Mass death, okay, lockdowns, blackouts, all sorts of perils. Okay, let's read this. Then shall they be in a pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. Torments. I can get 2 Corinthians 15, it goes into it more. 2 Corinthians 15:1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy which I shall put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. They're written in the Bible, they're written in paper, they're written in the scriptures. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. There you go. All the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness, man. So that's prophecy right there, that you're gonna have blackouts and this. And by the way, like I said, these elites, you guys are in the system, and pretty much they control the grid. You know what I'm saying? But all this is a you know, you can say omen of the downfall of Rome 2.0 and the upliftment of the kingdom of Yahushua, because even when there's like a elite style false flag, okay, they like, let's say, because they got harp and different things that they can do, they can use and shit. But even when they do something like that, the Most High is the one that did it, because they're playing into the hands of the Most High. Let's see what else these people say.
Yesterday.
Go around his for a Rioja. You'll be all right.
Is there a well?
But who knows?
Of course there's not a bloody well. There are wells dotted around England.
In which case, there ought to be. Don't you think the moment?
You know what you do? Start digging now. Start digging now, Jim.
I'm going to go home to dig my own well.
Okay.
Just think how much in demand you'd be as well. Then who'd be laughing?
Right, he won't be getting any water.
They ain't ready
Not
for
even
this.
a giraffe.
No.
Let's move on to a more serious story. The Domestic Abuse Commissioner has stated that all
So they're trying to.
primary school children.
So you're trying to tell me that you went from they said let's go to a more serious. So you're telling me that they didn't actually, that wasn't serious. I mean, that's one of the most serious things that happened, was when that blackout happened, because if that grid never turned back on, that, you know, your society will be turning into one of those movies like The Road or something, man. Not too long after. For the longer you keep that stuff down. Hey, because like I said, like we say, they're gonna have to. They want people on the grid, don't they? So them when it's and even that turning off the grid thing, the grid's gonna be turning off for you if you don't get that mark of the beast. But if you would be allowed to be on that grid safely if you've got the mark of the beast. All right. So anyway, that's there on the topic. And most of this stuff is 2 days ago.
Hey, real quick, how would you find the answer in all this data?
You get Saspaya.
That's my oh.
MPs face spilling over net zero.
The quickest way
energy
from a billion
security.
points of data to a point
So
of view.
all of this net
Saspaya.
zero.
Spain and
See, that's the whole stuff that we're talking about. Net zero. So we're gonna see. What else? I'm gonna probably check some of that out. And we'll see. But hey, with that, I'm gonna say Shalom.